Good morning. It's about 10:30 in the morning, January 8th, 2023. Today, we're 1 week in on 2023. Holy shit. The birds are going crazy. Just to kick things off, I figure we might as well start with a check-in. This morning, I weighed in at exactly 226.07 pounds. That means that I'm down right around exactly 4 pounds from my starting weight, which is too fast. But anyone who's obese and who's lost weight multiple times can tell you this is normal. Usually the first week or two, you lose a lot of weight really fast. People say it's water weight or whatever. I don't know exactly what it is, but this is pretty typical. I'll expect within the next week for this to slow down to something closer to 2 pounds or 1.5 pounds per week. I'll keep checking in the next videos. Hopefully we'll see that even out to 2 pounds or less per week. If not, we'll adjust my calorie intake from there. Speaking of calories, this video is about tracking calories. So in the last video, and I think probably the 2 videos before that one, I think I mentioned that calorie tracking to me is really hard. It's grueling, feels like a lot of work, and I feel like the amount of work with tracking calories is usually what leads me to fail losing weight. I installed MyFitnessPal, still do not like it, so I did a little Googling and I found that a lot of people are using this app called Chronometer, so I downloaded that and I started trying it out, and I actually really like it. It feels like calorie tracking apps have come a long way since I've last used them. There's a lot more foods in the database. Haven't had the experience very much of not having something show up, even scanning barcodes. It seems like pretty much everything is in there. And when there isn't a barcode on the food, it's pretty easy to search and find something that's similar to what you're about to eat. I want to be as accurate as possible. I'm probably not going to be using the barcode scanner very much. To me, the killer feature is the ability to put in custom recipes and to build custom recipes out of other custom recipes. Let me explain what I'm talking about. One of the things that I do almost every week is cook rice and beans. That's been a staple of my diet for many years now. It's just something that I cook myself. I don't buy pre-prepared rice and beans. I make that myself every week in a big batch. So that's great. I can build up a recipe using the ingredients that I use every time to make my rice and my beans. And then if I'm going to use those in another recipe, I can use that original recipe as an ingredient in, for example, the burrito bowl that I'm about to show you. So the first day I tracked calories on January 1st, I didn't have this app yet. I was just tracking them by hand, which is really grueling. I do not recommend it. But here's how I started. The first thing I did was bust out my food scale. So with a food scale, they'll all have a tare feature. So the first thing I do is I stick the bowl that I'm going to use on the scale and I tare it back to 0. Then I put in the amount of rice that I think I usually use for this meal. It turned out to be right around 150 grams. So that's what I went with. I just wanted a nice round number. After putting in the rice, I tare again back to 0. Then I put in, again, the amount of beans that I think I usually use. It ended up being also around 150 grams. Once I have the rice and beans in, the bowl goes in the microwave for 2 minutes. Then I throw the bowl back on the scale. I set it back to 0. Next, I throw on some shredded cheese. Looking at the calorie count on the package, it's pretty high, so I went very easy on this. I only put about half a serving. That's about 14 grams. Zero it out again. Then I put on some salsa. That's pretty low in calories, so I'm not opposed to just kind of estimating here. I figure that's about 1 or 2 tablespoons of salsa. Then I bust out the avocado. I usually use 1/4 of an avocado. Then I go in with the sour cream. This one's a bit higher in calories, so I measured it. I went for about 3 tablespoons, which is 1.5 servings. Then I put in about as much romaine lettuce as will fill the rest of the bowl. And I top it off with some chopped up Roma tomatoes and some hot sauce. Those last 3 ingredients are all pretty negligible on the calories, but I did put them in the app. Chronometer tells me it's 6 calories for the lettuce, 16 for the tomatoes, and 1 calorie for the hot sauce. Now this may seem like a lot of work and a lot of detail, which I said is what causes me to fail losing weight. However, because this is measured and it's all in the app, I don't ever have to do that again, which is great. When I make this bowl now, I measure out the beans and rice to make sure I'm exact on the weight for those, but everything else, pretty much, I'm eyeballing. The first time I made this, the bowl came out to something like 550 calories based on what the app estimated for the calories on all the ingredients. But then I busted out the killer feature. When I first made it, I just used the default built-in recipe for Spanish rice and pinto beans. That's fine for a starting point, I guess, but it's not exact. After coming up with this initial recipe, I went back and replaced the built-in rice and bean recipes with my own custom recipes to make it totally accurate. Turns out the ones that I make are a little bit higher in calories. So after updating everything to use my bean and rice recipe, I could see that this recipe comes out to almost exactly 600 calories for one bowl. Not only can I see that it's 600 calories, but I can see the full nutrition breakdown of all the macros and all the vitamins and all that shit, which is cool. So now that I have this calculated out and I have this custom recipe, I can just make this bowl the way I've always made it, be a little bit more accurate on the weights or the volume of ingredients, and be pretty sure that every time I make it, I'm having about 600 calories. I think this is going to be a really valuable tool in my weight loss journey. It's a really easy to use app, and it gives you a really quick way to see your basic macro breakdown of carbs, fat, and protein. And one thing I can see already is that I'm not getting enough protein, but at the very least, it's very helpful in making sure I stay at my 1800 calorie target. And I'm pretty confident that if I keep tracking like this very accurately, and I track my weight in conjunction with it, I can control my weight loss very accurately. I want to make sure I stay at or under 2 pounds per week, and if 1800 calories is going too fast or too slow, I can adjust from there to meet my goals. I think that's going to be about it for this video. The plan is track calories with a chronometer, build up these custom recipes, try to be as accurate as possible, and hopefully it doesn't feel too much of a burden. Have a good week. I'll see you next time.